Welcome to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, podcast for innovators and problem solvers talking all things small business, entrepreneurship, and workforce development.
Philanthropist, music record enthusiast, Billings advocate, baseball fan, animal lover, a true people connector, and radio host. This man used to be one of our neighbors in the Granite Tower, a very well-known voice in our Billings community, a Billings community leader. Welcome to The Vault, Justin Hutchinson, or as some of you may know him, McLovin.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, and community development.
Hello. You said way too many nice things about me there.
I was like, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
It's an honor to have you.
And what you led with philanthropist. That's quite
Because
the
it's
honor.
true.
Well, I know, but it's quite the honor.
But it's so true. I mean, you even brought me a flyer today.
Well, that was more just promotion. Put that up somewhere
Philanthropist.
where people can see it and will donate.
We're so excited to have you on, Justin. So let's jump right in and get started. We want to start from the beginning. We know you're a Billings native, but let's really dive into your story.
I would say mostly Billings native. I've lived here since I was like 7.
So
Mostly.
you're like
I mean,
a Billings
since
native.
second grade.
Let's go. Let's start.
Yeah.
Where were you before you were 7?
So I was born in Bremerton, Washington. My dad was in the Navy. He was stationed there right across Puget Sound from Seattle. And then he was, I lived there for the first 4 or 5 years of my life. And then we moved to Honolulu, Hawaii, where he was stationed for the last 2 years of his service before he retired. And once he retired, there's no way that we could afford to live in Hawaii. And so we moved to Big Sky country and moved to Billings. So that was...
Did you have family ties here, or did your parents just go, where do we want to live? Montana.
Well, I think my dad had like a dream of being a rancher.
Okay.
And so that led us to growing up in a mobile home in Lockwood and not on a ranch. So I don't really know where the dream died or what happened there. He's now a rancher. So, I mean, he got his dream eventually, but it definitely took him a good 15, 20 years.
It takes a minute
to be there, yeah.
To buy the cows or the land.
Unless your family has it, it's a hard industry to break into. You can't,
right?
Unless you have a ton of money and you're just like, I'm gonna buy property and then buy all this cattle. And
I think he found like a good deal on a plot of land out by Columbus, and then I don't know why. I don't know. I honestly, I was 7. I don't know. I don't know.
But you
really.
got to live in Hawaii for a little bit.
I got to live in Hawaii.
Do you remember it?
I do.
Is that why you like flamingos?
No,
Okay.
I think this is just a fun shirt.
Okay.
he's wearing a shirt with flamingos,
We'll
so
show you a
everybody
picture,
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice and soft. It's really airy. It's nice. It's comfy. Hawaii was interesting because I remember a lot from Hawaii, but when I went back a few years ago, probably 6 years ago, it was crazy how much deja vu I got everywhere. I at one point I had to call my mom as I'm in Hawaii going, did we ever go to this place? And she goes, we lived there for 2 years, probably. It was the weirdest thing where we were at a restaurant and it was like one of these little drive-in restaurants. And my wife asked, hey, where's the bathroom? And I said, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you go around the back on this side and it's on this corner. And sure enough, it was there. And I was like, I don't know how I know that.
But you've maybe been there.
But I've been there. I had to have. It was
That's funny.
So much deja vu, so many fun memories. And so it was fun to go back and kind of get to see all that. But then moved here. Moved in when I was in second grade. Started at Beartooth Elementary, then Bench Elementary, and then Lockwood, all in the same year. So
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
I got the tour of Billings.
Yeah.
And now fast forward, and now I'm sitting here with you guys.
I know.
Did you want the in-between?
Yeah,
Or-
we want the in-between. So
Okay.
you moved here. I mean, it's so cool that you remember that from a kid, as, like being a kid.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I remember this, and I don't know. That's just fun.
Yeah, I went to Lockwood my entire elementary school career. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Child, I don't know.
Sure.
Your elementary career.
Yeah, and then graduated from senior high in 2006. My first job ever was working at the radio station. Got that when I was a senior in high school.
What did you do at the radio station?
So I was taking a class at the Career Center on broadcasting, and we took a field trip to the radio station, and they needed somebody to work on the weekend, somebody to just push buttons during sports games. My very first job there was working Wyoming Cowboys football.
Oh, wow.
And I just had to basically play on the commercials. So they'd say, from our broadcast networks, and I knew that was my cue, and I had to press play on commercials, turn it down, and as soon as my minute and a half of commercials was done, I'd throw the channel back on, and they'd talk more football.
But you had to pay attention, so you knew when to hit the button, right?
Right, yeah. And luckily I'm a sports guy, and so
Yeah.
I can kind of just visualize what they're talking about, when a natural break would be, and so I kind of knew what to expect, and so it was really fun. And then graduated from that to doing basketball over the winter, and then I think we had some Grizz football and did that for a couple years. Central High football used to be on the radio as well, and would run those games locally, and that was kind of my beginning in radio, was just the guy that was a button pusher.
All right.
Pushing.
Yeah, just everything on the soundboards, and you guys have been in the studio before.
Was this the Granite Tower still?
Yeah, this was.
Okay.
Yep,
Wow.
this-
Okay.
Oh, so you've been with the same radio station.
Yeah, which isn't always the case. A lot of people kind of move around, and things don't work out, budget cuts, whatever it might be. But yeah, since I got that job my senior year, it was October of 2005. I've been with the same company.
That's
Oh, wow.
So, cool.
So yeah, that
Good
was
for you.
Granite Tower all the way up until last fall we moved out.
I know we
so,
all moved.
Yeah, we abandoned that building.
We did.
We moved further apart from each
I
other
know.
too.
It's
know, it's
probably
really
never
sad.
the same. That building will never be the same without all
They
of
miss
us
us
there.
for sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
guarantee
miss the
they do.
parking lot.
yeah. It's nice to have ample parking.
Yeah.
I had to park in the garage. I don't remember the last time I did that.
I know we do every day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it.
It's nice. It's covered.
Yeah.
For hail. You know what I mean?
Hail's always nice.
Just not used
I
to
mean,
it.
hail is not nice.
No.
Yeah, but
Unless
the
you're a
protection
roofer,
from hail.
but,
Yeah.
So you were pushing buttons
Yeah.
for sports, and then what?
And then there was a morning show on our country station that was syndicated out of Nashville.
Oh wow.
And I after high school, I was taking a year off before I was going to go back to college. And I had this plan to go to a Bible school, and I wanted to be like a youth pastor or something. I don't know. I don't even know if what I really wanted to do with my life. I knew that Bible school sounded great, and the radio station called me one morning and said, "Hey, we've got this syndicated show out of Nashville. Would you come push buttons for that show?" And that's it, at that point, it was, I don't know, 10 times the amount of hours I was getting in the first place
Yeah.
every week. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I did that every weekday morning from, I think I got there like 5:30. I was there from like 5:30 to 10:30 or something. And show was fun, but it was a little boring. As you guys can imagine, the button pushing, you push a button and then you wait for them to tell you to push another button, basically. And there was probably about 12 minutes or so between button pushes that I had to do. Because they would do their show, they would play their music, and then we'd try to make it sound as local as possible. And so what I would do is I would walk down the hall to other radio shows that were a lot more entertaining. I'm a people person, so I wanted to chat with people, and Big J had a show that he was doing by himself, and
Was it the Big J show?
It was the Big J show.
Okay.
Yeah, he started the Big J show right around the time I got my first job there. I believe when we took our tour, he had just started his show.
So how much older is he than you? I want to know. We
So-
can talk about this here.
I think he graduated 4 years ahead of me.
Okay.
I think there's only 4 or 5 years age difference there. But yeah, he was like, cool, yeah, you can sit in here and listen to the show. And I thought the show was funny, so I'd laugh occasionally. And then he's like, well, if you're gonna laugh, at least laugh into the microphone, so that people can hear how funny I am.
So he's just sitting in there making himself laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my favorite thing to do.
I mean, as you guys can imagine doing like this podcast, could you imagine trying to do this by yourself and not knowing really what the listeners are thinking? Or
Yeah, I think it would be really hard. We were interviewing a comedian, and he was like, the worst thing is the room not laughing.
Right.
And then you don't know, are my jokes like landing or are they not landing?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that would be really difficult.
So
It'd
he
be
left
really
you.
tough. Yeah, so I think he loved that he had somebody
an
that was
audience.
You know what I mean?
laughing at his dumb. Even if the jokes were dumb and not even that funny, I was laughing at them. And so I would just pop in, here and there throughout the mornings. And that show lasted a year and went away. And I thought that I was going to be jobless. I was ready because I couldn't afford to go back to pushing buttons for 3 or 4 hours a week. And so luckily there was an event that Jay wanted me to come in for to be on the show. And then he asked if he could officially have me on the show. And they said yes. So I said yes. And the rest is history. That was in the spring of 2008, I think, about almost exactly, I think just now over 15 years ago.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's a hot minute for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, and so been doing the show together ever since.
Did you always think you would go into radio?
No. So I don't know. I thought I wanted to be an actor. I had no acting experience. I never did like plays or stage anything. I never had any acting whatsoever. But I loved making people laugh. I loved entertaining people. I was kind of a class clown, just always trying to make people laugh. And I love comedy movies. I thought it'd be fun to be in movies. Well, I realized I didn't have the look for movies, and maybe I didn't necessarily want to be in movies, but maybe I wanted to make movies, write movies, film movies, whatever it is. And that's when I took that broadcasting class. They had like film editing and all that kind of stuff. And realized that, radio is, here we go. Ready? Here's
I'm
my
ready.
first McLovinism. Radio is just pictureless movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
I mean,
There's your knowledge for today. No, and so it's very, very similar in the ways that it's still entertainment. And I quickly fell in love with it. I still didn't know, even working in radio, that I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. Like I said, I was still planning on going to college. But the more and more that I did radio, I realized how great it was, how fun it was. And now I know that that's what I want to do when I grow up. So,
but I mean, like radio historically, that's how people got news, or they heard,
sure.
like people would read stories and things like that over before there was television.
right. I mean, that was the
Like
easiest
that
way
was
to
where you got information.
communicate with people, because everybody had a radio. I mean, whether it was in your house, in your car, everybody had radios with them for the most part. I mean, and TV was still, a commodity back in the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely in the early days.
That's cool. So did you do anything else? In between like high school and starting, that you had some other things where you got to use some of those skills that you learned in your broadcasting class?
I guess not like professionally or anything. I mean, I really love video. And so I started a videography company where I filmed weddings for 10 years. And that was a lot of fun. I love weddings. I love love. And so I loved being able to help capture people's days. But most of all, I got to tell a story. I got these little 10-minute stories that I got to tell of people's wedding days, whether that was, the ceremony itself, the getting ready, all of that. And you got to tell the story from beginning to end with their vows and their toasts and the dancing and all of that. And so I got to make a lot of great short films. I made 200-ish wedding films, or 150. I don't remember exactly. Wedding films over 10 years. And so it was fun to get to make a bunch of short stories. I mean, very, very similar to what you would do, making movies. And so I'm glad I got to use that and got to use some of that knowledge that I learned in that broadcasting class. They don't even offer that broadcasting class
I know,
anymore.
that doesn't sound familiar.
So it was shortly after I was done in the class. I personally, and I think there's zero merit to this, I personally think that the teacher thought, hey, this is my pinnacle. This is my prize creation.
The best it's gonna get.
I made McLovin who he is, and I'm gonna go out on top and retire, and we'll retire the lesson, the whole class, and that's it. So
I'm sure that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and she's still around. I'm sure she can vouch for it.
100%.
Yeah,
we'll fact check it.
Miss Volk, if you're listening, you can probably agree with me that was it. That was the peak.
So where did I'm taking us off on a tangent,
you're
but
fine.
where did McLovin come from?
So the time frame of me starting on the show, I started walking into the studio summer-ish of 2007. That's when Superbad came out.
I was just about to, I was wondering if it was same.
Yeah, and I think back then I put on a little weight, but back then I was scrawny. I had like the same haircut as McLovin, the same glasses. I mean, I have my senior picture and a picture of McLovin. You put them side by side. It was like, oh yeah, that's doppelganger. I mean, so at the time,
Now I know.
Okay, I had
we
to look
need
it up,
to see these.
at the time it was identical, and then like I think we were both nerdy characters, and that was the hot movie, and so I think it was kind of I was Justin down the hall, here's Justin from down the hall, whatever, and then it was like, oh, he started calling me McLovin, and then it was when I was officially on radio, they're like, well, do you want to keep the McLovin name? And I was like, sure, I guess it's what people know me as. And
So
now
they're calling me.
But now 15 years later, it doesn't feel weird or anything. It's just part of who I am now.
Yeah, it's like
15 years later that it's like, oh yeah, I did get it from that movie, but I feel like it's just evolved so much since then.
Do you find that like people they are just like McLovin? Like you don't even have a real name anymore. It's just McLovin.
I think my favorite thing is when people like first get to know me, they think, oh, you're McLovin, the dude from the radio, whatever. And then we become friends, and then it's months or years down the road, and they call me McLovin, and they're like, wait, what am I supposed to call you?
Yeah.
And I was like, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, my wife, McLovin's real name in the movie, not like his actual actor name, but the character's real name was Fogel. And so my personal friends, like my close friends, and my wife even still call me Fogel.
Oh,
So it's like I've got a nickname of the McLovin nickname from the movie that even like my closest friends call me, and has nothing to do with my real name at all. So,
But
is
they don't
it
have to
pretty
say
much just
anything
your
else.
mom that calls you Justin?
no, there's a whole group of people that do, but yeah, it's really weird. I answer to a lot of questions or a lot of names. Whether it's McLovin or Justin or Fogel or hey douchebag. Can I say that on here?
Yeah,
Are you
it's
gonna have to bleep
explicit.
me?
Yeah, no,
Yeah. You have
we
to
just
put a
noted
warning
as
on here now.
explicit. So
Oh well.
That's so funny because it just reminds me of like, I mean, you don't have to say your last name, right? It's like
Yeah.
when you say LA or New York or like Omaha, you don't have to say the state. You just say
Yeah, you know exactly
New York.
where it is.
You don't have to say New York.
you're like
New York.
Cher. You don't have a last name.
Yeah.
You're so official.
Yeah.
You're so fancy.
That's so funny yeah, I was like, I feel like I've known that, but for other people that maybe just know you as McLovin, like where that came from.
I find it weird. Like I feel like sometimes I have to get too professional though. Like I feel like obviously people my age, my surrounding, they all know the McLovin thing, and they listen to the radio or they know the movie or whatever, and so they just are like, oh, okay, McLovin, fine. But sometimes I have to like have like professional emails that I send to people and like that don't listen or like are from out of the state, and then I just go, Justin. Like I'm not gonna try
it's
to
not
make
McLovin in the
No,
e-signature.
Yeah, when I'm pandering and asking people for money from businesses and stuff, I very much go, hey, I'm this professional guy named Justin.
But I go by McLovin.
Yeah, and so it is definitely a weird line.
So I'm going to take us a little bit back to your radio time. And you said it's been about 15 years. But what has maybe happened, evolved during that time with you, with the show, just with your life and other things that, because you're so involved in the community with Relay for Life, the Billings Mustangs, some of these things that you're doing with the schools.
Books for kids.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, obviously you guys just said, everything that has come from the show and stuff that I've been able to do. And I think it's just with growing up. I mean, I think when I first started on the show, I was a dude that lived in this small, like, tiny room that they were like, hey, nobody wants to live in this room in this house, but we'll rent it to you for $200 a month. And I was like, cool. I got to live with my best friends and not living at home and
Wait,
had
your best
roommates.
friends gave you the scary room of the house?
No, because they had already got the house. So they had already picked out their bedrooms. It was going to be the 3 of them. And I was kind of like, hey, you know that room that you're like not doing anything with and you're not sure is even livable? Can I have that? And they're like, yeah, give me like $200. And I was like, ooh, you strike a hard bargain. I don't know if I can make that much pushing buttons, but I'll try. And so that was fun. But it was always, I grew up kind of having roommates as most people do. And so I think that a lot of that kind of stuff just comes with growing up. The more and more you get comfortable with something, the more money you start to make, and the more decisions, you get to make on your own. You kind of evolve into the person that you actually become, right? And so I think that's kind of I think a lot of people in Billings have got to watch me grow up, which is really weird because I started on this show when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, somewhere in there. And so they got to see me get my first girlfriend. They got to see me in my first heartbreak. They got to see me turn 21 and cause a mess all over downtown Billings.
It's fine.
They got to see me fall in love and get married. They've been with me through heartbreak and everything. And so I think that, it's a really interesting thing that my growing up and maturing happened so publicly, but also like, I think that it helped because there's so many people that are like, hey, they're always looking out for me, hey, this is what you should do. Or that, let me give you advice from someone who's been there. And so it was nice to have that as well.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. And I think it's funny that you mentioned that. It makes me think like when I moved here and I started my internship, but I really did see you guys. I'm like, oh, they're like Billings celebrities, really, like you and Big J, because you guys are so public facing. Like everyone knows you're just public figures in our community. Right. Yeah.
But I hate I get that it comes with the territory, but I hate like the celebrity
I don't mean it
moniker.
like
no, I get
in a
it.
bad way.
I get it because when you first meet us, that's how you know us, right? Like until you like actually sit and talk with us or anything, you're the guy on the radio, and I get that. But it's like we, at least me, and I think Jay would agree. Like we are so accessible. Like we are. I'm constantly out in public, like you said with the Billings Mustangs. I'm there every day during the summer. I'm at most games. I love when people come up and want to, talk and have a picture, whatever. And I understand that role, but at the same time, like I'm just a normal dude, that just happens to have a really cool job. And
it's
so
public facing, yeah.
Right. And so, we were talking before the show started here that, we're talking about trivia night and that kind of stuff. And I love when people would come up and just get to talk and get to know me and realize like, oh, it's not just a dude on the radio. This is our friend, our neighbor, and just a normal guy that has a cool job.
Calling trivia, his wife's grading the trivia.
I know, she's got a stressful job.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, I think that's really how we got to know each other, Marcel.
Maybe.
Because even though you were in our building, it was
right,
when you started dating your boyfriend, and he was a trivia guy, and so I felt like that was always like I see you get there, and I was like, oh, the pretty girl from our building is dating that trivia guy. Got it.
Yeah. I would come out and go to
now
trivia.
He creates ridiculously hard trivia for people.
Well,
at Metal Art,
ridiculously hard, other than. Or you're saying Austin creates trivia?
Austin creates
and his friends,
ridiculously hard
it.
trivia. They write them.
Oh,
and they're like hard.
They just do it like in 6-week stints.
Okay,
I think ish. But they write. I think they're going to get to a point where they can't write them anymore. But they write them.
I that's the worst part. I loved having like a trivia service.
Oh,
like
yeah,
when I used to do it, because then you just show up and you're the MC of it.
Yeah,
it's a lot harder when you're writing questions because you're
do you
always
have to
wondering.
Write the questions now?
Now I do. Now that it's like a monthly thing and it's kind of themed, write the questions. But it's always one of those things where you're always trying to figure out, like, is this question too hard? Is anybody going to actually know it? Or like what
Right.
it is.
Is it too easy? Is it right?
But then I get schooled by a bunch of elementary kids about Star Wars.
And you're wrong.
And
That was a
I'm the
rough
one
night.
asking the questions. Yeah, it was.
Harry
was
Potter
tough.
night was crazy.
We got Disney night coming up. And
Oh,
Oh,
that
I
would-
know that
we
one.
should go to that.
We should
I
go
might
to
be good at that one.
There you go.
Would be a good one.
I don't know
think
when
I can
this
actually,
releases, so I don't want to say
Okay, no, yeah.
a date.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Man,
They'll miss Disney night, but
couple weeks ago, Disney night was sure fun, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, exactly.
Such a
It
blast.
I
was
can't
so
believe you
fun.
won.
great question.
Wow.
Wow,
So
you're
good.
really putting some pressure on
You
us.
know your princesses, that's for sure.
Take my little cousin. So you do the show, and then we mentioned the Mustangs. Like, how did
Yeah.
you get involved with some of those things?
Well, the Mustangs is just me being a baseball fan, and so
Because you're a pretty big baseball fan, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
I mean, you guys were just at a ton of games of different.
Right, our vacations revolve around
Yeah.
how many baseball games we can go to. We went to Taylor Swift and the Kentucky Derby, but then it was like, and now let's go to 6 baseball games.
But so cool, like all of that following you guys. I was like, oh
the
my
Kentucky
god,
Derby looked like a blast.
Oh, all of it was great.
and Taylor Swift. I
And,
mean,
yeah, all of it was
I
so
mean,
good. I mean, I'm a
She
big
does
Swiftie,
a good concert.
so I'm an Evermore girly.
Because
so.
don't you have all of her records to which I want to talk about?
Yeah, we can get into records.
Let's
as
get
well,
into
but-
records.
Well,
yeah.
where are we started baseball. Now we're going to
Let's
records.
go to baseball, then
okay.
to records. I always have a lot of questions.
I don't really want to. I'm not really involved with the Billings Mustangs as much as I'm just a fan of the Billings Mustangs. I'm friends with a lot of the people that work there.
Cool.
Just a couple weeks ago, I got to announce at the Mustangs game for the very first time, like the now batting, whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
So I got
cool.
to do that, but I don't get a paycheck or anything from them. I'm just
A dedicated fan.
I give them my paycheck. I show up, I buy the merch, I buy the Stang burgers, I buy up way too many White Claws and
fine.
and enjoy my summer at the ballpark. So I'm just an aficionado of the Mustangs.
a
so.
sports fan. That's fun.
But to the records, yeah, I'm a big record guy.
I know.
I've got I don't know, probably 200-ish. So I'm not it's not a huge collection by any means. I know people with way more records than that, but I mostly just get records that I want. I think there's people out there that are like, "Oh, cool, I'll just collect records." And
What's the point of having records if you aren't going to listen to them?
and to me, yeah,
And
it's
you
all,
don't
it's
like
all of my
Yeah.
like favorite albums. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a couple in there that maybe aren't my favorite or aren't things I would normally listen to, but some of that stuff is really fun to listen to and get to explore some music that you might not listen to on a normal time, or you might only listen to the hits. Like I just recently acquired a bunch of old Beatles records,
Oh, that's cool.
and I'm not a huge Beatles
Yeah.
fan. But I can tell you their hits. Like if you went through like a Beatles greatest hits album, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is great. But I don't know their deep album stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
so
wouldn't
getting to
either.
just sit there on a Sunday morning and throwing on a record and getting to listen to the Beatles as people did back in the day, you start really appreciating the music even more.
Yeah.
It's very intentional listening. I think a lot of people think that the records are weird that they're making a comeback in the age of digital music and having Spotify on your phone or Apple Music or whatever it is and being able to pull up any song in the world at any time, why you would backtrack back to this very clunky,
Bulky,
heavy,
yeah.
like takes up a lot of storage space, old medium. And I feel like the listening is a lot more intentional. Like I can throw on and throw my AirPods in and listen to the new Zach Bryan album and sure, enjoy it. But I feel like when you're sitting there and having to listen and then having to flip the record over after 3 or 4 songs, you're really, really listening to the music because it's a lot more work put into actually enjoying that time that I feel like it's a lot more intentional.
No, I love that. It's like even just like, the noise it makes once it like starts going and you
Oh
put
yeah,
a
that
little
little
pin
scratch.
on.
Oh yeah. You hear that little
You know,
buzz?
it's just like nostalgic probably
It is.
a little bit.
It is. And I
Yeah.
didn't even really grow up listening to records. We had a turntable in our house, but I don't know if it just didn't work or if my dad was more of like, hey, I don't want your greasy hands all over my
Don't
records.
touch. Yeah.
We listened to music all the time growing up. I mean, listened to CDs and whatever else. But yeah, I remember there was a turntable in the house, but I don't really, so I don't have that same nostalgia feel to it. I like the intentional listening.
No, I love that. I think that's great.
So you talk a lot about the opportunities that this job has provided you in being out in the community and doing some things that you really love and inspires you. What are some of your favorite parts of the Big J Show? Would you say that is a part of it, or would there be some other things that you'd throw in there?
Well, yeah, I like I said, the opportunities it creates, there's opportunities everywhere. I mean, I get to meet a lot of cool people. I get to go to a lot of cool concerts. And when we talk about music, I'm just a music guy in general. And so, when I first started on the show, it was one of those things where people in radio, I hate to burst everybody's bubbles, but I'm not rich. I think a lot of people are like, oh, you're on the radio, you're rich. We make no money. It is a very not lucrative business to get into unless you're doing radio sales. But if you want to be on the radio, there's not a ton of money there. But one of the perks we had was always free concert tickets. So they'd put us on the list or whatever, and that was always great because I was being broke all the time and growing up again, think about where you were when you were 19 years old. You were always broke and trying to figure out not just how you're going to pay your rent, but how you're going to pay for your next meal or whatever else. And the concerts are probably at the very back of your mind, but getting the opportunity to do that kind of stuff. I love music. And so getting to go to all these concerts and then, being there for the meet and greets and stuff like that with our radio listeners, getting to meet a lot of these bands that I love and listen to, it's a very cool opportunity there. And then other opportunities, I think it's just really cool that we have this platform that we've built with the show that people will do what we say, but also not doing that in any kind of malicious way. We have... I brought you a flyer for Books for Kids, for example. We're working on the Books for Kids thing right now and trying to provide books for elementary school students all around the city of Billings. By the time this airs, we'll have funded 6 full schools around Billings, 6 elementary schools. So it's over 1,800 students.
Wow.
Close to 2,000 students that we've been able to buy books for every single month of the school year next year. And so that kind of stuff is really cool that I get passionate about these causes, passionate about children's literacy or, Christmas time. We do our big Christmas, when we used to be in the same building, you'd see us hauling carts full of gifts up and down the elevators and, getting to do that and play Santa a little bit. It's just really cool that we get to do that, but also that our people that listen to the show also believe in those things that we're doing and want to be a part of it. And so I really enjoy getting to use our platform that we've created for good, to be able to put a lot of, good messaging out there, helpful messaging, just positive, but also just sharing real life stuff, talking about the news, talking about what's going on in Billings, talking about what's happening, the cool events coming to Billings, all that kind of stuff. But then also turning around and doing charitable stuff with it is awesome.
What was the first campaign or fundraiser that you raised money for?
So we've done Santa Claus for a Cause, that Christmas one, every year since this show was created, I believe.
Wow.
So even before I was on the show, Big J was doing Santa Claus for a Cause. And when I kind of started doing the show and getting a little more responsibility on the show, he kind of just handed it off to me. It was like, hey, you run this thing. You are the one responsible for calling all the families and whatever else. And then they would still, him and his team would type up all the sheets and all the information, and they'd get all the nominations or whatever. But then soon, a few years later, then it was completely pushed on my wife and I loved it. I just think I love Christmas as it is.
Who doesn't?
I'm a big Christmas guy. The music. I love the snow
cookies,
in the winter, the cookies.
The food,
I mean, everything.
family.
The message of Christmas itself, and just that holiday season, and it's just great. I really enjoy the Christmas season, and so getting to give back like that for the last 18 years has been incredible. And so we've done that. I think I can't remember if we're entering our 19th year or 20th year this Christmas
Wow.
on doing Santa Claus for a Cause. So that was like my first real like charity stuff, but it wasn't mine. Like it wasn't any of my creation. Like even though I had like ownership of it and I, got to run the program, it was still not anything that I had stake in, I guess. And so last year, with the flooding in Red Lodge, raised a bunch of money with that. And then we've done books for kids. This is our third year of doing fundraisers and all that kind of stuff for books for kids. So,
and did you start that?
I did. So I had a teacher friend that had posted on Facebook, and he wasn't the first to do it. I had supported other classrooms and stuff and other teacher friends that had done this, but he had just posted, hey, I've got 21 students in my class this year. For $18 per student, we can get them a book every single month of the year. And so I was like, yeah, sure. I'll sponsor one. My wife will sponsor one. Here's $36. Take it and buy the kids some books. And in the past, other friends would do the same, similar thing. And so when he had did it, for some reason, it just clicked in my brain, like, what would it take to do this for your entire school? And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, no, seriously. Like, how many students are at your school? What do we have to do? And, and so we kind of brainstormed over the course of that next school year about how we would do it and met with his principal and, just kind of figuring out how to do it and didn't really know, but he knew that he could handle buying the books for all the classes. And so I said, okay, well, let's do this. And so for the following school year, said, hey, this is how much money we need to raise. And within 44 hours, we had raised enough money to get books for every single student in Bench Elementary.
Wow,
that's awesome.
That's so amazing.
And then we were able to fund a couple extra classrooms and stuff too from other funds and stuff that we got. So we were doing various classrooms and stuff throughout the city. But ultimately, I knew that I wanted to do this whole school thing. And so the next year, last year, was our second year of doing this, and we were able to raise enough money not only to keep Bench going, because the idea of the program is to get more books in these kids' homes, because the more books that you have in your home that you actually own, your passion for learning, your passion for education, joy of actually going to school, the joy of learning, all of that just goes way up. Having actual physical books that you own in your home that are yours. And so I didn't want that to just be a one-off thing. And these kids get 9 books and I move on and you never hear from me again. I wanted it to be that we're set up in these schools for years and years and years. So the idea being, if you start at that school in kindergarten and go all the way through 5th grade, that's over 50 books that you've got to add to your collection, to your bookshelves over your elementary school education. And so I want to stay with those schools as we grow this program. And so I knew that I wanted to do Bench Elementary. Well, that teacher friend, he moved schools on me.
And you're like, buddy.
And I was like, well, dude, now what? Now I have to do 2 schools.
I have to do your school and Bench.
And so quickly raised enough money for Bench, quickly raised enough money for McKinley. And I was like, well, could we do another school? Had some great sponsors and then a lot of generous people donating. We were able to also fund Ponderosa Elementary. And so we were up to 3 schools for the 22-23 school year. And now heading into the 23-24 school year, we've still got those same 3 schools. And now as well as Beartooth Elementary and Big Sky Elementary that we just funded and Central Heights. So moving on to our 7th school, raising money for Newman Elementary now. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to do that, but also, like I said, to use that platform and use the radio show that, a lot of people get a lot of entertainment out of, people enjoy for some reason listening. It's nice to be able to give back to the community that, that we're a part of and that people respond to that. So it's really nice to have that. And a lot of businesses have been amazing, sponsoring entire schools so that, students and that means something to them get books every single month of the year. And so, yeah, it's been awesome.
And I love what you guys do with that? Because I would have never known. And it's like, I'm happy to give like $18 to that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really a lot of money. Like when you think about it per person, you're like, oh yeah, if I donate 18, if Kayla donates 18, like we're helping make an impact in a big way.
It's one of those things where, it doesn't feel like it's a lot coming out of your pocket. Like less than $20 and one kid gets books for the entire year.
You're like,
but it's only $20. Like, is it really going to make a difference? But then you talk about that. You know, you do it, Kayla does it, your other coworkers do it, and pretty soon, like, oh wow, that's a whole classroom.
Mm-hmm. Which is huge. And I think, you know, you guys have probably made how much per school, roughly?
It's roughly $5,500.
Which that's a lot of money, right? And then you add 7 schools that you're up to. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, like I said, it's over 2,000 students. And by the time we're done with our 7th school, we'll be over 2,000 students. We're right around 2,000 now, and it's quite the impact. But it's great knowing that, with 2,000 students, that's only 2,000 random people that have to donate $20.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's not a lot of money.
It really isn't, and it's really not a lot of people either. And so it's awesome that people are willing to do that. But I think the other success of ours comes from the ease that we have for making the donations.
Yeah, like I can just Venmo you.
Right, exactly. Like I think that we, from the beginning on this one and some of our other charity stuff, is the Venmo. I think that it's so easy, and you don't really think about it and it's probably a bad thing ultimately when you think about how easy it is for me right now. If I wanted to send you $500, I'm not going to. Don't get too excited.
Well, I mean,
I'll buy you your next cup of coffee. I'll send you $5. But exactly that, like how easy it is to just transfer money.
Yeah.
Like if I had $500 in my pocket right now, that'd be a lot harder to give you than just typing 500 on an app and sending it. It's so much easier. And so I think some of that ease is really what makes a lot of these programs successful is, hey, open up Venmo, type our username in, Big J Cares, by the way, BIGJCARES,
we'll
$18, and you can donate, and that helps a whole kid out with books for the whole year. It's so quick and so effortless that I think it's so like, oh, sure, I'll do that. And then you move on with your life, and you don't really think about the fact that you just helped one kid get books for an entire year. So I think the ease of it
$18 for 9 books really isn't bad either.
No,
and then the awareness that you guys have grown, which I think that the platform you talked about helps a lot. But even you just sharing it, like that's how I found out about it.
Right.
Where it's like just sharing it, and you have all these people that are ready and excited to give you $18 to help one student, a student get books, but it's just that awareness component too.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those donations, again, it's a very specific amount, 18, so it's not like, oh, $20-ish. It's very specifically under $20, $18, that it's very accessible for a lot of people. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are thinking, oh yeah, but my $18, you're not looking for $18, you're looking for $36 or $54, and I can't do that. And it's like, truly, $18 is more than enough. Like I said, it sponsors an entire kid for this program. And so it's always one of those things where, even if you can't do 18, maybe it's $5, whatever it is, those drops, it feels like a drop in a bucket, but you need all of those drops to fill the bucket in the first place. So it all pools together the same. And so we're just really appreciative of everybody donating what they can to do that. So,
and you set up Big J, right? You guys kind of took all of these efforts that you were doing and set up a platform.
Right. So a lot of it was my wife getting really nervous about Uncle Sam knocking on our door and saying, hey, what's up with your Venmo having all this money? Because it used to be my personal Venmo that all these funds would flow through, which was always really humbling to me. That and I hope that I was a very responsible person with this. I mean, there's no reason for me, to not be or not appear to be that way. But it was always really humbling that all these people, like especially like last summer with the floods in Red Lodge, there were like $22,000 in less than a month that came into my Venmo.
Wow.
And
that's a lot of money.
That's my personal Venmo. And so people are just Venmoing McLovin, Like it just
Here's the money.
Yeah, here you go. And so that is one of those, like, it was very humbling that people trusted me that much to go, hey, here's $100, go help the people of Red Lodge, whatever it was. And it was like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be responsible for. And so I think that scared my wife a lot. I mean, like, we'd already done a bunch of Venmo kind of fundraisers here and there. But I think that when tens of thousands of dollars is coming through there, it was one of those things of like, how about we set up an actual charity so that it can run through there, and so that you're not admitting on podcasts that you are getting a bunch of tens of thousands of dollars in your Venmo that the IRS could come after you for.
But to help like a cause, like,
right,
you're just
I
the middleman.
I feel like I could probably excuse it away. I don't care. I don't know if the government cares what my excuse is or not. Every single penny that's ever been donated to any of our causes, whether it was through my personal Venmo or through the Big J Show Cares, have gone to those causes. But it is still one of those things where it's like, I definitely am glad now that we're clean, for lack of a better word. Like, it's all official now.
Yep.
And so that is a lot nicer. But yeah, it's still really weird that people will, like, that they donate that much money. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility.
But a testament to your character, I think, like knowing and seeing all the things that you do for the community and that you are doing. Like, it wasn't everyone that was like, we're trying to put stuff together to give and take to Red Lodge, right? They saw that you were doing that and they're like, I want to help, but I don't know how, but they're doing it. So let me put money into that.
Yeah, I think that also goes along with the ease of, like, the digital donating is they go, oh, I want to be a part of this. I want to send water up to Red Lodge because they need clean drinking water, but I don't know how to do that. Like, oh,
but McLovin's doing it. Championing it.
Here's $20. Go buy 4 cases of water and take them up. Perfect.
Yeah.
And as everybody continually donated $20 at a time, pretty soon that's pallets and pallets of water. That's pallets of granola bars, deodorant that we took up there, bug spray. I mean, it's the middle of June, and there's
a ton of water.
Now there's water everywhere.
Standing
Exactly.
water, yeah.
And
Hey,
so
bugs.
all of that stuff and throwing pizza parties and just trying to bring, a little shred of joy to, people that had their entire lives just devastated
away,
overnight, and so, it was nice to be able to do that. But yeah, it's very, very humbling. I don't know how else to put it other than that people trust me, and I'm glad that I have portrayed myself as a trustworthy person.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge testament to your character. And I think just showing you as like the community leader that you are, that people do trust you to send you that much money to then take care of it and get it to where it needs to go. Yeah,
now it feels really weird now having like the official, like it was always like this grassroots thing, and now it's like, now I've got a name and a website, and like people can just like send money all the time, not just when we're like doing campaigns. And so it's even weirder. But we got like a post office box now.
I know. That's so official. So what else is on that people can do on Big J Cares?
Right now that's kind of our focus is the Books for Kids fundraiser that we got going on right now. We're very hyper focused when we are doing,
which I think is great and helps you be successful in that space.
Yeah. So we've got that, and then after this is done, we'll probably take a month or two off and get ready and gear up for Christmas. We kind of have the two big fundraiser events or fundraising seasons for the Big J Show Cares. We have this summertime one where we're doing the Books for Kids one, and now that one, now that it's in its third year, it's kind of just become a new normal thing, and then the Christmas one. So, and then we have various ones here and there, just depending on what's going on in town, whether it's somebody who had, their house burned down or, whatever it is, we'll use what we can to take care of the people of Billings. It's kind of our mission for the charity is taking care of the people of the Billings area. So, and that's not just people. We also love the animals, like you said in your intro. Animal lover.
You're an animal advocate.
Animal lover. I recently joined the board of Yellowstone Valley Animal Shelter, and I love the work that they're doing there. But yeah, we've done fundraisers for them. last year for National Hot Dog Day.
I remember that. Yeah.
They needed hot dogs. They were like, hey, this is the best way to administer medicine. We've tried all of the pill pockets and the cheese treats or anything. The best way for them to administer medication, a little piece of hot dog with the pill in it. And so they were like, we need hot dogs. And I was like, well, it's hot dog day. Let's do this.
I love that.
And again, one of those things where, having that platform is incredible. I was able to go on air and say, hey, we want to do this hot dog thing. And within 20 minutes, we had $500 because of how instant, instant it is too. I think, in the olden days when you're doing these charities, it's like, cool, well, I got to wait for the check to show up and hope that I have enough money pledged here, that they come through that we can afford to do this. It's nice to be able to, I have a Venmo card, that I can just, it takes it directly from the Venmo, so I don't even have to wait for it to hit my bank. And we can go and hit up Sam's Club and buy as many hot dogs and get the weirdest looks.
You're like, what are you doing with all these? But it's so easy.
Yeah.
Just start smelling the packages.
Well, there was this one lady, she goes, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I got a lot of friends. And she thought I was serious. I was like, I'm buying these for the animal shelter. And she goes, oh. And I explained to her, and immediately she takes $10 out of her wallet and wants to be a part of it. And so I think it's really fun to do these really easy, accessible fundraisers that everybody can have a part in. I think when you think of some of the bigger fundraisers for some of the bigger things around our city that require millions of dollars to be able to build, you've got new aquatic centers and recreation centers, and you think about how big those are, and you're thinking, man, that's a lot of money. My donation's not going to be able to go far on that. I think it's really nice to be able to have these accessible ones that it's like, hey, for $10, hey, I bought 2 packages of hot dogs that are going to last the next week or 2 weeks at the animal shelter. And so they really feel like they have a stake in a lot of these fundraisers. And that's, I really enjoy having those kinds of fundraisers just because, you really feel ownership over it.
Right. And you're making an impact. And, not everyone can donate millions of dollars to some of these bigger projects.
I can't.
Yeah, me neither. I wish, I wish I could just have a Brewski's Aquatic Center, but
there you
can't.
Go. We should.
I know.
We should.
Where
do you want to build it?
I mean, I'd have to
on
think
the roof
about
here.
it.
Do you want to have a pool here? At work?
I do. Yeah.
We want a patio, so if you can convince Steve
to restructure the roof,
I'll
we have to reinforce it. Yeah.
I think Steve listens to me.
Hey, we could do a fundraiser.
But what I love,
let me find somebody for you.
Yeah, let me find someone. No, I think the animals and just using your platform in that way is so cool. And then what I think is so easy, especially for our generation, that not everyone has Venmo, but that's okay.
Right.
But it's I hear it, I want to do it, I can do it in the moment, and then it's I don't have to think about it or be like, oh yeah, I meant to pay them. It's just no, I did it.
Right. That instant. Being able to send that $18 for books it's so easy to just take out your phone, type in a few letters, type $18, and boom, it's done. Yeah, you don't have to go, oh, I'll do that when I get to work and I can pull out my debit card, or I'll do that when I can write a check and go to the post office and get a stamp, or whatever it is. It's so nice to be able to embrace the technology that everybody has right now and really be able to take advantage of that.
So you said you're now on the animal shelter board, which is so great. I think I'd struggle because I'd want to take home a kitten with me every day that I'm there.
Luckily, we're not in, our board meetings and stuff aren't at the shelter, or I think, I would sit through the whole meeting with kittens. It would just be constant. It's very hard for me when I do the donations for hot dogs and stuff where I actually have to go to the animal shelter to drop them off.
Hard for me.
Because I'm I'll take that one and that one and that
know.
one.
Look at his little face.
I always have to walk through the dog room and I'm like,
yeah. My wife told me I'm not allowed to bring home any more animals, so I have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, and they're so sweet. My cousins just got them for Christmas. They got 2 kittens. My little cousins from the animal shelter, and they're the sweetest little cat. I mean, they're not so little anymore. One of them's kind of larger.
Yeah, they grow really quickly.
But they're so tame.
Yeah.
And they're so great. So what else is coming up in your world that you're excited about?
I love all seasons. I'm very much like my dog. we're talking animals here. My dog thrives in all seasons. It's hot boy summer right now. He's loving life. We get to go to the lake and go swimming at the river, or, whatever, and he loves that. And then when fall comes around, he loves getting to jump into piles of leaves. And I think I'm very similar to that, where whatever season it is, whatever is going on, I really fully embrace it. And in Billings, with summer means concerts and a lot of outdoor activities, Mustangs baseball games, as we talked about earlier. So I think I'm just really excited to take in a bunch of outdoor concerts and music. And so personally, summertime, I'm just excited in general. As far professionally, just more books for kids, I guess.
That's
But
exciting.
that's kind of what's on my radar for the next couple months.
No, I love the embracing seasons. I think that we've talked a little bit about that offline. I think just, being present in the moment, not curating too much things that are not in the season that you're currently in.
And I don't think that there's a problem having a favorite season. I think my favorite season's probably summer, especially living in Montana. It's when everything is beautiful. You can actually drive without worrying about getting stuck in a ditch somewhere. And then that's when all the entertainment happens. Like I said, the concerts, you have Alive After 5, you have Mustangs, you have all sorts of things. You're sitting on a patio having a drink, whatever it might be. And so I don't think there's a problem having a favorite season. I dislike when people are very anti-seasons, I guess, where it's, oh, I can't wait for summer. It's like, I don't know, just enjoy what you have right now. You can't control it.
Yeah.
Nope.
You can't control what's going on around you in life in general. So just embrace what's going on in your life. Embrace what season you're in, whether that's metaphorical or actual.
And we do
winter.
get 4 seasons. So Montana, you're going to get a winter. You don't know how long, and you'll get a spring and a summer and a fall.
I think people complain, in the spring. I mean, at least like late May, we had a lot of rain. And so I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh man, I just want to be outside. And it's like, yeah, but you don't get to enjoy the beauty of outside without a little bit of rain. And also, like, I don't know, I feel like everything's a little more beautiful after a season of rain.
Yep.
Again, whether metaphorical or actual.
Exactly.
And so I think it's important to embrace whatever season you're in life. And you can't control the weather. You can't control the people around you. You can't control circumstances. And so I think it's just important to embrace life as it is and make the best of it.
So before we end each episode, it's been so fun having you.
I know, it went so quickly.
We're going to do some quick rapid fire questions.
I feel like, hold on. I feel like I talked a lot about myself.
That's what the point is.
I understand that, but I feel like people listen to this show also for you.
Oh, they know about us.
I know, but do they know about your pets? We talked about pets. What pets do you have?
I don't have any.
You don't have any.
Because
okay.
I look forward to having pets someday. I did grow up with pets.
Is your current living situation that...
I just feel like, it's not really set up to have a dog with like a backyard and like a cat, probably get hit on the road. And I just couldn't. We have neighborhood bunnies that everyone feeds. So I get my animal fix by feeding the neighborhood bunnies with a caramel cookie waffle guy. But Kayla has pets.
Oh, I thought you were going to say with caramel cookie waffles. I was like, I didn't know that was the way to a rabbit's heart.
I mean, I did
rabbits.
name one caramel cookie and waffle, but that was last summer. We have different ones now.
All right,
so.
yeah. And you have pets, Kayla?
Yeah, I have 3 dogs.
Okay, names?
Cooper.
Okay.
And then my 2 pugs are Pugsley and Sir Henry.
Okay, I like
They're
it.
very cute. They keep her on her toes.
Yeah, they are monsters.
And what about charity stuff? What charities do you love? We talked about my charities that I love. I mean, a lot of them are very specific to what I'm doing, but that's also kind of the joy of getting to run my own nonprofit is I get to give to causes that I love and really get to speak about what are some causes that you guys like. A little get to know the host part of this show.
Turn it back
here.
on us. Yeah,
Well-
I love the ones that you're doing, and I'll let Kayla. Yeah, and then I'll go.
Go ahead. Yeah, so we just recently started with Love and Sunshine through the Great Love Project with Yellowstone Valley Women.
Magazine,
Awesome.
which we're
So-
excited about.
They
And
started
what
this-
does that do? What's the message of that?
Yeah, so Yellowstone Valley Women created the Great Love Project, which provides funds to Love and Sunshine, which is an organization that provides homes for homeless pregnant teens.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
that's
so
awesome.
it's really cool. So with the money from the sales of the cups, it's gone to renovate a kitchen to create more of a family seating. So teaching them like the values of eating together, and then I think it provided furniture for a living room.
Yeah, so the more they get, the more they can do in the houses,
Right.
which is really cool.
Sure.
So I think that's,
I think it's really cool too, not just because you get something out of your donation and getting the cup, I mean, which you guys are both using right now.
They're great cups. You should get one.
Oh, I might have to look into it.
$25.
That's
and
not
there's
bad.
other colors. We just
$25 donations. You get
See
you
what
get
I
a cup.
mean?
And it's something that's very accessible. It's a very easy entry, low barrier donation here, and you feel like you're making an impact. But I think also what's really cool about having something tangible that's actually usable in your everyday life, like you guys are, during the podcast having them, I'm sure while you're sitting at your desk, that's, you just always have your cup there. But it's also nice to just constantly be reminded about what you are giving to. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you want to do more, and the more you stare at this cup, you're like, maybe I should. Maybe I'll donate another $20, and help them out and help them with their mission. So I love that. I love the reminder of having it. I've got some of my this arm. Some of my causes
your
here. I've got
Relay
my
for Life.
Relay for Life and a little flamingo there, and then
St.
St. Jude. It's one of those things where it's like the constant reminder of some of those causes I'm passionate about, and always be reminded of those. And so it's always nice though too, like when you see like a St. Jude commercial, for example, and go like, hey, I do that. Yeah. I do that. I look at that kid. Look how awesome it is that he gets to ring the bell and he's cancer free. And I'm sure it's the same thing when you have that cup in front of you, or you get to see any of those Facebook posts, or whatever it is when they're building these kitchens, or teaching these classes and housing these people. You kind of get to see this success, and you're kind of like, hey,
I did
I'm part of that.
Yeah.
I bought the cup to help support that. So
I think that's so great, and it reminds me I need to give you $18 for books, but I think just even hearing like you talk about the books, or hearing Julie talk about this project, like
the passion,
passion, and then you want to help and support that. So I think knowing the story, or knowing people that are trying to help with whatever it is that they're raising money for. I mean, we both gave a lot to Senior Rad Grad this year because it's one of our coworkers.
Senior Rad Grad. We probably could have paid for Seamus's first year of college.
But I mean,
love that. Dude, those graduation parties are so cool, by the way.
They are so cool.
I was talking, I got, it's so weird. Like a lot of my friends now have kids that are graduating, and I was like, I'm old. This is so and they're a little bit older than me or whatever, but I got to go to a couple graduations, and I asked them, I'm like, are you guys going to the graduation party? Because I want to make sure that they know that they're not too cool for it. Because I think that sometimes, I remember when I had the graduation party, it was like, oh, yeah, cool, the graduation party. Do I really want to go to that? And everybody that ever talks about it and reflects back talks so highly of it. And so it's like, I want to make sure that these kids know that those graduation parties are really cool. Plus, you get a bunch of money and prizes and all sorts of stuff.
I loved mine. Yeah.
I don't know if small town Marcel over here had anything like that.
Oh,
we
had
it for
it was
after
a ton of
prom,
fun.
but I mean,
see, that's the same thing with my wife. My wife had the after prom, and she was like, yeah, we got like all of our stuff for college after prom. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, to us,
we didn't do that. We had like a hypnotist once, but what was fun is like,
we did too, the hypno hick.
We had like the grand march, so you and your person, you'd get announced and you would walk, and your parents were there taking pictures, and then you did prom king and queen, and then you had a dance, and then you had after prom, and it was like games and stuff, and it was fun.
Sumo suits.
Oh yeah,
and
I feel like we had
like
those
the
one year too.
Slingshot thing where they like you had to like try to go as fast as you could.
Oh, before it like pulls you back,
like whipped you back.
I remember that.
I feel like every single one of these parties is the exact same, but they're also memorable. That we all have this. We all have the same exact memory of these things.
They had someone giving,
but we're all at
manicures.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was in the Helena Civic Center, and so it was like 2 floors, and then you had the whole like auditorium, and so there was people, because you had to stay till like 3 a.m. until they gave the prizes out, because you got your tickets and you had to like put in, and then at 3 a.m, and so you would go into the auditorium of the Civic Center and you would just see like fields of passed out like
Because you're
graduating.
18-year-old
Because
kids,
you've been up all day because you just
Exactly.
graduated, and then it was outside and it was sunny, and so these people were just exhausted, and then you couldn't. So once you came in, you couldn't leave. So like you were there.
Yeah.
It was
It's like-
intense.
But you had tons of pizza
Tons
and
of
punch
food
and soda
yeah,
and whatever.
There was tons of games, and I didn't realize this, but good on the parents for volunteering their
yeah.
time to take
God
those
bless the
shifts.
parents.
Yeah.
They put so much work into it,
Yeah.
and I know it's probably mostly unappreciated work there, but yeah, they do such a great job.
They do. And like one
So-
year, so this tells you like Eastern Montana. So our DJs had to come in from out of town,
Sure.
right? And so, do you know Toby Duke?
Oh yeah,
So
I
it's
love
Toby
Chandler.
and Eric. Yeah. So they had to come from Billings, but we had a snowstorm. So we did our after prom during when prom was supposed to happen. And then we did like the prom dance stuff like on a Monday, which was like lame. But I mean, that's when they could get there. And it was like this whole
Yeah.
thing. But
So wait,
Yeah.
so Toby was your like
DJ.
prom DJ?
Him and Eric.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Eric Lovick. I
Okay.
think they still do it.
That's
I don't know.
awesome.
Yeah. Because they're both from he's from
Yeah,
Ekalaka.
right,
Yeah.
right. And now he's got a movie.
I know.
and-
He's so official.
I know.
He's so cool. Yeah.
Look at all us radio guys
I
growing
know.
up.
Like you guys just being big kids. It's so cool. Yeah. So,
Okay, we can do our rapid fire.
okay. But
All
before
right.
we jump into our rapid fire questions, we'll take a moment to hear from our sponsors.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center provides free one-on-one counseling, business plan assistance, market research, financial projection assistance, and more to small businesses.
Okay.
Well, you guys have great sponsors.
I know, we do.
Thank
They're
you.
so great. Okay, so we know you like to cook. That we see that you and Taylor have a cool Blackstone, but
Yes.
we want to know what's one of your favorite things to cook.
I love breakfast.
Oh, me too.
Who does? I made
Any-
breakfast for dinner last night.
Anytime, yeah, breakfast for dinner, breakfast for lunch, breakfast for breakfast.
I mean,
Novel idea, I know.
brunch.
I
Combine.
brunch, all of it. I love breakfast, and so one of my specialties is waffles or pancakes.
I was hoping you were going to say like a sweet because I feel like no breakfast is like I love bacon and eggs or whatever,
Sure.
right? But you need a sweet.
I agree.
Like you can't have a full breakfast like on a weekend without a sweet component.
See, and I like chicken and waffles. You get a little
Yes.
hearty, a little
Sweet.
sweet there.
Sassy
And
Biscuit
so-
has a delicious chicken and waffles.
Yes, I love their chicken
I
and
like their one
waffles.
with the cookie butter. Like I just surpass
Is
the
it called
chicken.
the cluck or something like
Yeah,
that? Yeah,
the
I
cluck,
I
yeah.
love it so much. One time though, I went and bought chicken strips from
Yeah.
like I don't remember where, like a restaurant, because I was like, I'm not gonna make the chicken to put on there, and so I did that, or I think I sent my wife to go buy the chicken strips while I was making the waffles so that we could
love
have
that.
chicken and waffles. But I didn't want to do all of the work. I can make the waffles. I make
But the
great
chicken part
waffles,
is
but
hard.
yeah.
Like you're having to fry the dang. Yeah.
I wish I could figure out how to make an omelet. Here's my problem. Every single time I go to make an omelet, it turns into scrambled eggs. I have tried so many times to get this omelet perfect. I when I stay at a hotel and they have the omelet chef, I sit there and like take notes. I'm watching him and like,
videoing it.
how do I do this? And then every single time I fail. I mean,
I mean,
it's
you're still
good.
getting the
Yeah.
egg,
Yeah, it's
but
still
whatever.
eggs and onions and peppers and whatever.
Yeah,
so.
like-
I always add a little bit of milk.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
And then you just gotta let it sit
maybe
there.
I'm not patient enough.
You can't hack at it. You
Yeah.
just gotta let it sit there.
I'm a hack.
And
That's
then
the
you'll know.
problem.
You're like,
when you move the pan around and it just kind of moves loosely, then you can flip it and fold it.
I'm gonna have to take lessons. I think.
I mean, Kayla will teach you.
Kayla, you have to teach me. I'll teach you how to make a good waffle. You teach me how to make a good omelet.
Deal.
I'm ready for the
Breakfast for
waffle
dinner.
video.
I love it.
Anyways.
I'm hungry now. Do you,
I know.
you guys need like a little kitchen setup in
I
this?
know. We
in
need
the
a
vault.
snack.
We do-
Oh,
we
I
need-
would make you. We could just do this whole
need
podcast
a
while I'm
snack
making you
cart.
breakfast.
Exactly.
We need a snack cart.
Next time I'm on.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
that sounds
part
good. I'll bring
two.
a hot
Part
plate.
two. Yeah.
What is your dream baseball game?
Oh, the Mariners in Game 7 of the World Series winning with me in attendance. That would probably be the top. I mean, obviously, you want your team to win.
And the Mariners are your team.
The Mariners are
Okay,
my
my
team.
uncle likes them too. So
I
that's
got
good to
the
know.
Griffey hat on. I mean, that's it. I got to go to their playoff game last year, their first time in the playoffs in 20 years.
That's
So that
so-
would be it. Realistically, because they are the Seattle Mariners, and anybody listening to this, you got Ryan Walla, who's also a Mariners fan. He'll tell you how bad we are. So that will never happen. So my next actual functional dream is I've been to 19 of the 30 stadiums of the active stadiums in MLB right now. So I would love to finish up that trip or finish up, the other 11. But on that final one, I want to go to Toronto. They have a hotel inside the stadium.
Wow.
And so when you walk into your hotel, your window looks into the stadium. You're in the stadium and for that window. And so I would love to have that be our last stop. To be
just
like,
the cherry
here's
on
number
top.
30. We're staying at the hotel. That's
The last one.
It's like $1,000 a night. Way too much money to spend on it. But the experience of that being number 30 would be amazing.
It'd be like the trip of the year.
Well, yeah,
Of a lifetime.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
of
to
a
go to
lifetime
all
with
of
all
them.
my other lifetime trips that I've had over the last several years.
Not
but-
a lot of people could say they've been to the Kentucky Derby.
No, they
a lot of
can't.
people go though. It's
Yeah, it holds a lot.
160,000 people go to the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
So
I guess
Billings,
a lot of people can say that they.
I mean, the
like
whole
the
Billings
Derby.
could go in one.
all of Billings,
You know what I mean?
and then throw in all the surrounding areas too. You
Yeah,
throw
all
in
your
all
rural
of
counties.
Shepherd, all of Roundup, all of Huntley.
I mean, like, that's Ekalaka multiple times over.
it's basically just
Be a lot of Ekalaka.
the Kentucky Derby is basically just small Ekalaka.
Just-
yeah.
No,
just
it's
a
big
tiny little
Ekalaka.
itty
I'm
bitty
like, that's more
Ekalaka.
people than Ekalaka has.
It's a dose of Ekalaka.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so last question. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh,
This always gets
man.
everybody.
Or one of the best pieces?
I don't know. I think one of the things, it wasn't exactly advice, and my dad takes exception to it, but I promise he meant it from a good place. I think seeing your kid grow up struggling, to make rent or whatever it is, and you want to make sure that your kids are taken care of. He always, whenever I would have money troubles, whenever hey Dad, can I borrow $100? I need to pay my electricity bill, or whatever it is. He would always ask, when are you gonna stop playing radio? And that drove me so much more to like prove him wrong. And so it's nice now. And so again, I think he meant it from a good place. But so it wasn't exactly advice, but it was definitely motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And so then hearing one time, I think now that he lives in Wolf Point,
Oh, that's where the ranch was.
that's where the ranch
Okay.
is. Yeah. So now that he lives up there, and people would bring up, like, he would say something about Billings, and they're like, oh yeah, we go to Billings all the time. And he'd bring up McLovin, and they'd know who it was. I think that's when he finally realized, like, oh, okay, so maybe this isn't just for fun.
My
Maybe
son has
there is an
made it.
impact. And so when he would tell those stories and he was so proud of them, I think that was like one of those, like, I made my dad proud. So I don't know, not necessarily advice,
But
but
motivation.
motivation. Yeah.
No, I think that's a great.
Sorry, it doesn't
ending point.
exactly answer your question.
It's
but
advice, though, in a different way. Yeah, motivation.
kind of towards the end before the commercial there, we did talk, I gave that embrace all seasons. So maybe there's my advice.
Embrace all seasons.
Embrace all seasons.
And sometimes playing on the radio works out.
Sometimes. Yeah, you girls in this podcast, one of these days.
It'll work out.
Maybe you'll make enough dimes someday to buy that patio.
Exactly. For the roof.
For our rooftop patio.
Well, it's been so much fun having
Well,
you.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
for
me.
being
This is
on.
Coming
This
on.
is awesome.
Yeah.
You're always a hoot, and we always appreciate your community support.
I miss seeing you guys all the time. We gotta have a Captain Crunch.
I know.
date
I was
sometime.
about to bring them, but I had a headache last night, so I didn't get to.
We could have just sat around and everybody could just listen to us like wreck
Crunch,
the roof of our
crunch.
mouth. Yeah,
Yes.
while we're talking.
That's not
Next
obnoxious
time,
at all.
part
Yeah.
2 with McLovin.
I think it'll
part
just be
2.
everybody next time. Next time I'm
time-
on, grab a bowl of Captain Crunch to listen to us.
And
we'll have Captain. We'll just all
all
eat Captain
have
Crunch
Captain
together.
Crunch.
Yeah,
with
or
berries.
we can have whoever can eat it the fastest. A Captain Crunch off.
See, it's already hurting my mouth.
I know, but I
thinking
just feel
about
like
it.
I just savor it.
Yeah.
You guys are no
Are you?
fun.
Hold on. When you eat Captain Crunch.
Okay.
Before the end, before you finally hit the stop button here and make me leave, do you try to ration some of your berries so that you don't have just the yellow pieces at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to
that
have like
only a
equity
sane
bites.
person.
You know what I mean? Like you have to
Yeah.
have some berries with the golden. You can't just eat all the berries.
Right.
I'm more of like, I'll save the best part for last.
But
Me
I don't
too.
want all
But I don't
berries
want all
at
berries
the
either.
end.
Oh, I'm all berries at the end.
No, I have to have them
Same
like kind
thing
of
with
equal bites.
Lucky Charms. I will eat all of the like whole wheat cereal and save my marshmallows for the end.
I'll
I'm
do
very-
most of that, but
I'm very much like, all right, you know, the proportions. I'm like,
Yes.
all right, I can have 5 yellows to every one berry.
right.
Wait, now you
Have
can
the
buy
perfect
all
bite.
berries.
I know, but that's
But that's
not
like
it's
that's
not the same.
fun. Yeah.
It's not the same. And last
You have to
time
work for it. I
you
know.
you gave me a box of the most boring
I'm
Captain
sorry
Crunch
because
ever
I sent
last
someone
time.
to do it and they didn't do the right
And they got Captain Crunch.
Yeah, but that's
But
okay.
like old person version of Captain Crunch,
I know.
all yellows. Like it's so
it wasn't
still
me.
good. Captain
yeah,
Crunch is
But I
great.
mean, it's not.
it's in my office. Next time you come see me,
I'll come eat it.
we'll have a bowl of
yeah.
Captain
I'll
Crunch.
bring an all berries box and
Hey,
we'll mix.
we can mix it. Yeah,
In
we'll
a
make
big
our own
bowl.
blend.
And
yeah.
Jay can have a bowl too, even though sometimes
He's
he
too
puts
good
his
for us.
nose up at that.
He's too good for
He
us.
doesn't like Captain Crunch.
I think he hates everything that Marcel and I find
I
enjoyable.
know he does.
Oh.
He always puts his nose up,
Like
and I'm like,
Serene
it's
on
so
our
rude.
parade.
You should get him some grape nuts.
Yeah, some Wheaties.
I'll bring those by, and
Grape
I'll make
nuts.
you have me on the show.
He probably, he's always got like his diet and stuff going
I
on.
know,
So it's
whatever
probably
he's
something
doing,
boring.
yeah, like-
Keto cluster.
Yeah, like eating a chicken breast or something
Hey,
Just unseasoned chicken breast. Here you go.
with broccoli.
Warm it up in the microwave.
my boyfriend wanted to do this reset your palate diet
Okay.
where you just eat baked potato for a month.
No, that sounds terrible.
And
No, it doesn't. It
Dan,
sounds
that's a
amazing.
dumb
no,
idea.
but you can't have anything on it. No butter, no salt, pepper, nothing. It's just a
Dumb
baked
idea,
potato.
Dan. I hope he's listening.
I was
like,
on
no,
board with
we
the
are not
idea.
doing that.
See, I think the problem with that idea, if you could have the toppings, is that I would just be like, you know what, this isn't so bad. I'll just have potatoes for the rest of my life.
Well,
But
yeah,
have
because
to
you
have
could
the
put
toppings.
you could put
butter.
pork, you could do broccoli cheese, you could do like
and
lots of
just a little
stuff
salt
with
and
baked
pepper,
potatoes.
just a little seasoning, a little butter. Yeah.
A little butter, like a lot of butter with a lot of
A
salt.
lot of
Maybe a
butter
little
with a lot of
cheese,
sour
yeah.
cream.
Cheese. Do you know what I mean? You can't
Bacon
just have
bits.
it basic. That's like eating salad without having a ton of great things
Just-
on top.
Have you had It's Roasted baked potatoes?
I have not.
Me neither.
Oh my
Clearly I'm
god,
missing
their
out.
carne asada one is
All right, so
phenomenal.
we just need to start a list. So next time we're gonna
Be
have our
eating.
Cap'n Crunch. We'll
We'll
get
bring
potatoes.
We'll bring Gabe in, and
And
we'll
I'll
bring
cook
you
breakfast.
back, and we'll have
A slab of food and waffle.
we'll have baked
Waffles
potatoes and waffles
omelets.
and Captain Crunch.
It's gonna be the best buffet ever.
of food. I'll
Get,
like,
Marcel,
I'll come
order the
hungry.
chocolate fountain. All right,
okay.
let's go
I
all
mean,
in.
don't tempt
But
me.
instead of chocolate, we're putting queso in there.
Oh, there we go.
Wouldn't hate it.
No, we wouldn't hate it
it.
either.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank
we
you for
really
having
appreciate
me.
it. You're
This has
awesome.
been fun.
Thank you for joining. You can find the resources and tools mentioned in today's episode at thevault201.com. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and share with a friend.